We're going to show you how to turn a boring, ordinary room into a killer video studio. Hi.
Hi. At home.
At home. In a room.
In a small room.
Looks bad now.
It won't later. First thing you got to do in your home studio is plan the layout. So scout your room to find the best angle.
Usually that means going on a diagonal.
Diagonally.
But basically looking for where you can get the most depth, the most separation from your background.
That way it can be like a little bit out of focus and you can be like more the center of the image, you know, the star of the show.
And this has also motivated the setup of the desks so that they are kind of either side leading into that corner, leading into the background. And you'll see in the final image that those lines kind of work really well to frame it.
Pro tip, if you want even more depth, widen up that aperture.
Experiment by walking around the room with your camera and just pointing it in different directions and seeing what works.
It's super helpful if you have a zoom lens because then you can also test different
focal length.
Focal length, thank you. Step number 2, put your camera on a tripod with the lens of choice and connect some sort of monitoring system.
We're using the Monitor Plus on the iPad to connect up to our Sony a7 IV.
It has a free version as well.
Yes, so free's a good price. And that way you can really see where you need to build out your set and you can visualize it as it's coming together.
Yeah, and when you're like decorating or moving stuff around, you don't have to keep going back to the camera to look at the screen. You've just got the monitor right there with you.
Point number 3, and I actually think this is the most important of them all, is the golden rule of video: show, don't tell. And that means you need to really think about your set design in order to tell the story and add context to what you're making your videos about.
You love cameras, add some cameras. You love Harry Potter, add as many references as you possibly can.
How many are there in here?
394.
Designing your home studio is essentially like doing a film set. It's just the set design.
I think people often get hung up on purely the aesthetics of it, but it's just as important for the space to convey who you are, your personality, or in case of a YouTube channel, what your channel is about. So yeah, we have to have some video lights, some cameras, you know, look kind of video-y.
Friendly.
Friendly, yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Someone ran out of steam during the renovations.
The most important step, or actually maybe the next one is the most important step.
Yeah, or was the previous one?
It depends. No, the next one for sure. Lighting. You want your space to look great in all types of lighting. You don't want to be confined to just like one time of day where you can film.
But for ultimate consistency, it's best to block out all kinds of daylight. This sounds a little bit vampire-y, you know, but it really means that you're not getting unexpected weather conditions and the sun foiling your plans of a beautifully lit shot.
So build a death den.
Not necessarily a death den, but just a den. A competition seems to have emerged. We're having somewhat of a race or challenge to see who can come up with the best blackout solution. This sounds strange, but I'm trying to stick some ND roll onto the outside of our roller blind, and Sal is trying to trim a curtain.
I think my solution is perfect, unless I've measured it wrong.
I think it looks like bum.
I am the head of the art department. Oh, thank you, spotlight.
Basically, you want to start off with your key light. The bigger the light source, the more flattering the light, which is why when you're taking a selfie, you go up to a window. Right, we've got the Xeon Molus G200 with a parabolic softbox of 90 centimeter. We've opted for a grid on it to minimize light spill onto our background.
That's mainly so that we get all the beautiful light, but the background is still kind of dark and contrasty.
Exactly. And basically with that, you're pretty much sorted. Anything else is kind of a bonus, but we do recommend a little hair light, which you can just see the little golden light here.
This little light, and also I was just thinking about this also helps to convey our story, because without this light we look quite cold and tacky and official. Whereas with this warm golden light,
it's friendly.
Friendly.
Exactly.
Friends.
On top of that, you've got some practicals. You've got the bolt right there. You've got an Aperture MC in the back, which is sort of the pink glow that's motivated by the neon. You've actually got the screens, which are adding a little bit of light. You've got the little Pixar style, which is another Xeon G200, which is lighting up our memory wall. I'm pointing the wrong way. So
light tube under the monitor as well. We like to call these fun lights.
Yes, these are just fun lights, but the key is the key light, which is the main one, which you want ideally
big.
The hair light is probably the second most important, which is helping to separate us from the background. And other than that, you're sorted. I would say that the lighting is probably the hardest and most complicated part, and you can keep this as simple as possible, or you can really get super creative with it. So from now on, it should be downhill.
I've never understood that phrase. Downhill from here sounds like it's just going to get worse.
Yeah, I agree.
But downhill is easier.
Anyway, it's going to be easier from here. So on to audio.
There's only two things that we've got to say with audio, and that is to get the microphone as close to your face as physically possible.
And the second thing is, this is especially important in rental properties like ours, where you probably can't spend loads of money to soundproof it because the owners might be like, what's going on here?
What are you doing?
We recommend putting in as many like material squishy things in the room. Upholstery. So we've got a beanbag, we've got some blankets and things like that.
Rug.
Just to limit the echo in the room. So is this this is the final tip, but is this the one that's the most important that you mentioned?
No.
So this isn't the most important?
No, I think audio is the most important.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, final tip. Making a home video studio is all about limiting friction to create. Because ultimately, if you have to build out a whole studio every time you want to film, you're not going to do it. And trust us, we know that from experience. So the more things you can have set up permanently, or at least semi-permanently, the more likely you are to film more vids, and ultimately that's what it's all about.
For example, maybe try and put your lights, your microphone, your camera up in the same place every time. Super cool if you've got your lighting system attached to like an app, so you can just whack everything on at the same time. We don't have that, but you know, it's
cool.
It's cool. Yeah, that's everything. Thanks so much for watching. We make vids about making vids.
We hope you enjoyed that. We hope you found that useful. If you have any questions about our setup, drop them in the comments. We'll do our best to help. Or any questions about any setup.
And if you want to learn more about lighting, click on this video here.
Yes.
Love you.
Bye. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Or don't. You don't have to.
Born to live. Come to die.
394.